Hi everybody, welcome back, welcome forward. Hello, hola, ciao, buonasera, buonanotte, willkommen, ni hao, mushi mushi. I think I got the last two right. How are you all doing? I want to get right into it. I want to talk about cancel culture and why I think it's important, why I think at its core it is a good thing. I need to cross my legs, sorry. So, I'm gonna break this up into little parts to try to make it as quick and as organized as possible because I've tried to do this video before and I kept rambling, and the second time my nose was all stuffy, I sounded crazy. So, breaking it down, taking notes, trying to make this happen. I'm gonna talk first about the original true definition of canceling people, canceling a person before it became a culture and then something you could pigeonhole and talk badly about and try to manipulate the narrative of. Then I'm gonna talk about just that, the new narrative, the new pushed ideas, who's doing the pushing, why they're doing the pushing, give you some examples of criteria that make people cancelable or able to come back from it, bounce back, and get uncanceled. I want to give some examples of people who I think made it fairly, made it back unfairly, and were unfairly canceled, to show that I'm not completely biased. I do see there are problems in the formula, in the system of canceling people, and why I think that that system is problematic sometimes. And what else? I think that's pretty much it. Then I'm gonna give a summary. That's what it says on my list. I'll show you. It says right here, summary. So I guess I'm gonna have to summarize this. So this isn't a hot mess. Okay, so let's do it. A few disclaimers. Everything in this video is my opinion and is alleged. I have a new set of aligners in my mouth also, apipolylogis for the swollen mouth, and the lisping of various words. Every reference shown is under fair use as commentary. Thanks. So what I believe canceling someone or a thing, entity, organization, company, whatever, is basically when a group of people calls out the unacceptable behavior, antics, history of bad behavior, examples, or very serious crime, or something terrible that a person or entity, let's just say entity because it could be a company or anything else, does. They call it out, they say why it's not okay, and they basically say leave this community, or we are denouncing you as a representative of a community, of humanity in general, or of having the amount of influence that you have, because it's bad, it's a negative influence. We're tired of seeing you blow up our timelines, whether we follow you or not, with foolishness and controversy and just bringing a bunch of bad energy or lying energy to the world. And usually the reason why people are called out is because their public image, they profess to be something that in reality they're the opposite of. So basically trying to take away the right to this person to not practice what they preach and to be a disgusting character and succeed and be supportive. And it opens people's eyes, who are unaware of these things, to say, maybe you don't want to support somebody like this. I just want to add, I looked up the definition of, the word or term cancel in the dictionary, and it basically made me think, when you hear the word cancel, what do you think? You cancel a subscription, or a TV show gets canceled, a series gets canceled, the second and third movie of a trilogy gets canceled because people didn't like it. It's when something is no longer beneficial or important or helpful or doing what, the public, what the masses in general want, or because it's so toxic, people want to get rid of it. So the definition: to make void, revoke, and neutralize, counterbalance, compensate. That is what canceling is. It is voiding out a person's voice, not trying to take away freedom of speech, but saying, okay, you can talk, but we're gonna call you out every time and say that you're a liar or you're doing whatever talking is inappropriate. We don't want you representing humanity or a certain community anymore. we are revoking the power that you have, the influence you have over our lives and our psyches from here on out. So I'm not sure if I already said this, but what this definition suggests to me is that it is nullifying or getting rid of something that has been around but is now considered toxic or unnecessary to the growth and the happiness of a group of people or the public in general. Okay, so this next part is me reading a couple of definitions of cancel culture from Urban Dictionary, the new definitions of what this is supposed to be, allegedly, and why I think they're problematic. I'm going to read one definition, the fourth most popular definition that I agree with for the most part and I think is accurate. So, top definition of cancel culture: a modern internet phenomenon where a person is ejected from influence or fame by questionable actions. Okay, we can get down with that. It is caused by a critical mass of people who are quick to judge and slow to question. Only halfway agree with that. It is commonly caused by an accusation, whether that accusation has merit or not. Okay, as a direct result of the ignorance of people caused communication technologies outpacing the growth and available knowledge of a person. I feel like there was a comma missing in that last sentence. I'm not sure. I kind of missed that. Help me out if you think it's something else. So, part one, fine. Ejected from influence or fame by questionable actions. But then the whole quick to judge and slow to question, I feel like that should be kind of reserved to trolls and completely mindless trend followers who, for example, the 3 million who unfollowed and refollowed James Charles, if they were the same people, to me, those are the people who are quick to judge and slow to question. Complete followers. He's lame today. Okay, we're gonna follow him today. He's cool again. We're gonna follow him back. It doesn't account for the actual people who are taking the time and the energy to expose the wrongdoings of this person and why they should no longer be considered a voice or a good influence to either a community or the general public. I don't believe it's a direct result of the ignorance of people. I think it's a direct result of people getting information that is very important and explains a lot about somebody, and it's usually about somebody who says one thing and behind the scenes does a completely opposite thing. To me, that is an example of a double-minded person and a bad influence. People who don't practice what they preach. Example, I hate to bring this up, but Jeffree Star. He constantly reads companies for only doing certain amounts of shades that are only light colored shades, no dark shades. Yet I don't think I've ever seen a black person, a person of color, even on any of his videos at all. So what's up with that? I could be wrong. I'm sorry, I'm hitting things with a pen. I could be wrong, but that's what I have seen when I have watched his videos going back quite a few, I think 1 to 2 years.
It's not acceptable.
But the fourth one is my fave. Cancel culture is when someone is called out on social media for something they did or for an opinion in the present or past that turns society against them and it goes viral, ruining that person's career or online popularity. Celebrities in particular whine about it and call it cyberbullying, because it's a form of organic criticism they can't control the narrative of. Now, that second part, bam. That is what I love about the idea of canceling somebody at its core. It is organic as can be in this super fake virtual reality, easily manipulated. Everybody's trying to influence and manipulate, the general public world. It is the most organic form of criticism that they can't control the narrative of. Now, who are they? In my opinion, they are, one, the person in question, the person who should or should not be canceled, who's in, judgment to be canceled. It's hard for them to control their narrative because as many videos of them acting so sweet and that they care, they can submit At the end of the day, the proof is often in the pudding. It's in your true words and in your actions. A good example of this is, I hate to bring it up, Jeffree Star. You know, do you even know any black people? Do you support black people? All we've seen from you is you stating derogatory racial terms on black people. So that's not adding up. What you say and what you do, it's not adding up, So that's one person who gets angry that they can't control the narrative of it, or they're losing grip on, controlling the narrative. The other group, I believe, stands. Now, stands are, in my opinion, irrational fans. They should be called Irans or something, because they are, they're really about a facade of this person. They want to keep the rose-colored glasses on. They want to keep promoting this narrative that makes their fave look good. And I think for a couple of reasons, because they want to keep believing, they want to keep idolizing this person. They don't want the truth about somebody that they've already invested so much money, time, love, public adoration for. They don't want to admit that this person could be bad. I don't know why. I really don't get what it is with so many people just not wanting to admit that they were wrong about things and just changing up a little bit and evolving. But for some reason it's a problem, especially with these in denial stands. Then they also look kind of stupid, sometimes, because it's like, if your fave is a dumb piece of crap, then what are you for idolizing a dumb piece of crap? The third group of they who are angry that they are losing grip of the narrative. These celebrities and influencers, owners, the people who consider these influencers and celebrities, assets. People who invested in these people to be successful, continue selling whatever, their product, whether it's their personality or actual product, movies, whatever. They don't like when the narrative gets changed about this person. They want to control whether they look good or bad, or make money or not, because like I said, they have a financial investment in these people that they want to either get back or continue profiting from. So when other people are taking over the narrative, that threatens their power and influence over society, and it threatens their bank accounts. So now we're switching gears a tiny bit. Now we are in story time mode, you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you the story, a very quick story. Sorry, plants. It's gonna be an example of how a group of people, a community on YouTube in particular, use the strategies I discussed at the beginning of cancel culture to cancel a group of people who were becoming extremely toxic and just awful for the group, for almost everybody. So I'm in this community on YouTube called the Truther Community. I am like doing this all day long. It's like, I guess, my way of saying don't take everything super literally and allegedly or something. I don't know. I'm gonna try to stop. Put my hand down. Okay. So I'm a part of this truther community online. We're basically seekers of truth about the world that we were never exposed to, never learned in school, can't find in your, average book. You have to kind of dig. And yeah, that's what we're interested in. And a lot of different types of people from different walks of life come into this community. Often truth seekers and truth tellers. And a lot of the truth tellers are, whistleblowers, people who are blowing the lid on certain people or companies, groups of people for doing wrong to humanity. They're often, considered at risk for speaking this truth because the people who are there speaking about are very powerful people. So there's a lot of compassion, a lot of worrying, and a lot of trying to help those people who come out and give us this information that otherwise we couldn't find, because this information is often hidden. So this makes it just like every community on YouTube. There are hella scammers. There are people who come out and say that they have this valuable information or they know something, but they're in danger for whistleblowing, so they need our help. PayPal, Cash App, Venmo me here. You know, and there are a lot of people who are also learning all these different things, are very compassionate and very worried and want to help people. So that makes for a scammer's paradise sometimes. So I think it was a year ago or maybe a little bit more, Johnny Supertramp's channel can tell you the exact date and time of when it began. This below Z-list celebrity came out on like Periscope or something, and he was like, oh my gosh, you guys, I have to do this. I just can't keep hiding this. It is weighing on my soul. You know, these people in Hollywood are super bad. They do all kinds of abominable acts. I'm gonna name them. I'm gonna tell you guys the truth because I just gotta stand up for humanity and blah, blah, blah. And so that's what he did. Then he brought in like a cast of just sketchy characters. He alone was sketchy. As soon as I saw him, I was like, just something is off. Then he brought in some other person who I think started his first video like looking out the window or something. This is just from my sketchy memory. I'm not sure if this is 100% true. But yeah, he's like, oh my God, they're after me. They just got me fired and, you know, they're trying to take away custody. Like just saying all this crazy stuff. He's like, I'm about to be homeless. I'm getting evicted. But you guys, I'm gonna tell you the truth about something. He also used the help of a YouTuber with over, I think 100,000 or so subs to tell this narrative, to start spreading this whole thing. This was bad for so many reasons. The stories weren't checking out. You know, people were denying a lot of this stuff. People were saying that, or people were finding out public information about, for example, the Z-list celebrity of movies and people that he was friends with that would say that he was kind of a part of this and not just a bystander seeing this and trying to tell us about it. If this thing even did exist, they were just overall scammers. They were scamming people out of a lot of money, especially like a lot of baby boomers for some reason in this community. They like, I don't know if they just don't know how to use the internet or don't understand that like anybody can get online and post anything or say anything, and that does not mean it's true. It's the same people who like believe the news still, like the mainstream news. They decided that that's not a trustworthy place, but then any random person on the internet is weird. So they were kind of coming into our community also along with these live action role players and just messing everything up. They were ruining the credibility of our community. They were causing a lot of divide and conquer, people who believe them, and then the people who didn't believe them. The people who believe them were saying that those of us calling them out, we're bullying these people. And they were agents of chaos and divide and conquer strategies, and they were making money off of their dirty deeds done dirt cheap, and it was wrong. So what did we do? What did those against it do? He said, this is not okay. I'm calling you out, all of y'all out, this whole crew of scammers, and we're calling out and saying this is not okay. Here's why. So yeah, we called them out. We said, this is not okay. You need to leave this group. Like you are not welcome here. Your very low standards of proving what you're saying, of being a decent person, not being consistently greedy for money. Oh my God, my dog's like having a bad dream or something. It's okay, baby. It's not okay. So we kept saying that. We kept calling them out. Other bigger groups realized what they were doing and called them out and appreciated us for not allowing this group to tarnish our reputation. And eventually they were kind of excommunicated. I think excommunicated might mean like they were invited at one point. They were never invited, but we got them out basically. They left. And I think that's a brilliant case of how cancel culture works. I keep saying culture, but canceling somebody works, and why it's necessary to preserve, it's self-preservation of a community that is doing positive things in the world. Now I'm going to go through some good examples of people who were canceled and redeemed themselves or tried to redeem themselves, and why I think they were able to uncancel themselves for the most part. The bad and the unfair. I will say that cancel culture does have its faults, like I said before. Some people, I feel, in my opinion, get unfairly canceled, and it's unfortunate. It's often people, I think, not often, but it is sometimes the truth that people who should not be canceled are canceled. And we have to work on those things. But it takes it takes having boundaries and a little bit of order. Call me conservative. We need order, we need standards, we need boundaries. That's how we can decide what is acceptable and what is not. Okay, so some uncanceled people who did a good job. Example one, I think Gabriel Zamora did a great job. You know, he did a little bit of the like gray sweater sitting on the floor thing, but it was, I think, a white hoodie. But he just broke it down. Like, he broke it down bit by bit and was like, I was wrong. I did this. You know, he did push some blame on Manny, but I think that was a good thing because Manny was just being himself, just being lame, you know, just being lame. So I think he did a very good job in his 38-minute video saying what he did wrong, apologizing for it directly, saying that was not a good thing to do, you know, and luckily his history wasn't indicative that he consistently has bad behavior. So I think that also saved him.
And the third apology that I do owe on camera is to Jeffree. I'm sorry just for everything, not just for the tweets, not just for the photo, just for it all, just for allowing myself to create an image of someone based on what others were telling me. And it's not fair because I wouldn't want that for me. So I want to go on camera and say that I'm truly sorry to you, Jeffree, because what I did wasn't intended to be bullying, but I know now that it came across like that.
Now, in my opinion, James Charles come back from the whole Toddy Westbrook thing. I think that was really good. You know, he did that first video in his glasses. And he was like, I'm sorry, like, you know, whatever. That was kind of like whatever. But in a way, I thought that was a good thing because it showed that, you know, remorse and sadness. But then when he came back with that fire, when he was like, oh no, y'all old school, old bitches ain't gonna take me down. Here are my receipts. I think that rebuttal, I gained respect for that fellow, that young fellow, for coming back at it and not laying down and taking that crap, you know, because it's, you know, Tati and the ever influential and manipulative Jeffree Star coming for you. Thomas Halbert, I just feel like he shouldn't be really canceled in the first place. I think he should be in my unfair cancellations place. I don't know what he did wrong. What I do know is that he made apologies, but he stood by what he said. He said he still wasn't a liar. This is what happened. And I appreciated that. I appreciate that somebody is not being a huge liar. And I understand that some people have to apologize sometimes because these people in power will like kind of force you to do that if you want to stay in the game. And I think it's really unfortunate that he doesn't seem to be quite in the game. I honestly, he doesn't rub me like the right way 100%, but I feel like he's a lot nicer and better than a lot of these current popular influencers. So now some of the bad ones. We already talked about it. Jeffree Star. It is his power and influence, the fact that I believe he is an asset to YouTube/Google, and that's why, like, he was invested in for this. I don't think he just like had all this money to begin with and then did the channel, or just got all the money and access and influence from, you know, his makeup line or collaborations or whatever. I feel like he was invested in as an asset, and they were going to do this. These assets were going to do whatever they could, include makes another documentary by Shane Dawson. He's like the problematic people who should be canceled documentary person to forcibly save their careers, to force us all to like and appreciate him again. Both Toddy and Jeffree Star's videos are constantly pushed in my suggestions. I watched one Tati video outside the Bye Sister one, and her stuff has just been non-stop to this day in my suggestions. Like, they want me to watch it. They're obviously being pushed. No matter what they do, Google and YouTube are going to do whatever they can to make sure they are still in power, still influencing people, and they are still making their money off of these characters. So even though I think they're terrible, I don't know about Tati being a terrible person. I think what she did to James Charles was very terrible and snake-like and just random in a PR move in a way. But, you know, Jeffree Star, already mentioned before, I feel like he's just not a person, I feel like, who should have such a big voice, because his voice is often catty, petty, mean. It's not keeping it real at all, in my opinion. Like I said earlier, he talks about what's unfair, but then isn't fair himself. He doesn't have any people of color on his show ever. So what are you talking about? He's a person who's not a man of what he says. Then, okay, here's a non-YouTube group of non-YouTube people. Nicki Minaj and Chris Brown getting, you know, essentially canceled and uncanceled and recanceled again. Nicki Minaj, in my opinion, she has burned her own you know, dug her own grave, burned her own bridges, and that's another example of it doesn't matter sometimes how much money you have, but your influence and the behind the scenes of people like you or not matters too. And I feel like she was just no longer an asset that whatever record label she's under, whatever media people she linked up with and was paying to talk well about her or not talk badly about her, whatever it is, it just wasn't working anymore. But I feel like she did that to herself. And that's why her continuous attempts at coming back aren't working.
Nicki Minaj, in my opinion, this moment is unraveling.
Then Chris Brown, you know, that's another, as told by Kenya, I think, good example. It's due to his power and influence and still being, I guess, relevant. I think also partly because he is male. You know, I'm not trying to be like political about it, but I do believe that's part of why he has been allowed to continue despite like all the foolishness. Another bad example, freaking Kodak Black. This is what I think is ridiculous. Another fault about cancel culture. So he was talking badly, once again, another black male artist talking badly about their own race of women, certain skin tones of their race of women. He wasn't canceled. It was a little bit of outrage, but he wasn't canceled. Then what else did he do? Oh, I didn't even know about this until a channel mentioned it. He has been, I think, multiple times accused of, you know, assaulting people against their will, young women, and they weren't trying to go public with it. They just reported it to the police, and that did not cancel him. But somehow, him talking about Nipsey Hussle's baby mama or wife or whatever, that was something that he needed to fix expeditiously. Lame ass T.I. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Who said that? The words of It's Keisha. Who said that? But, you know, it just kind of showed me that certain groups you can continuously be horribly to. All these people I just listed, it's been fine for them to insult black women, dog them out. They weren't canceled. There might have been a moment of outrage, but it died down and they were fine. But if these people came for other groups, you know, people that, like other rappers, people, that's what canceled Kodak Black. Other than that, people would have been still like, it's that Zeke shit. You know, a lot of people, if they insult another minority group or disenfranchised group, then they get in trouble for that. But, you know, it's just very funny how those are some of the faults, I think, of cancel culture that aren't right and that need to be fixed. Oh, I have two more examples. So I had to write this lady's name down because I've never even heard of her. Sorry, my bangs are itching. Why? My scalp is dry. Okay. Chrisette Michele. Do you guys know who that is? Right, me neither. So she was some kind of, I think, like R&B singer or something like that. Some very unproblematic, nice young lady. She ended up performing at Trump's inauguration. And then, I don't know which group is her black groups or all black people came together to cancel her and just drag her, and they were awful to her. And to me, that is completely unfair. You know, like, what? You know, this woman was just doing a job. Even if her political views were conservative and pro-Trump, I don't feel like that's a reason to cancel somebody or to hate somebody or to try to wipe them off the face of the earth, especially somebody who has no history of being problematic before. That's wrong, you know? I don't like how I feel like a lot of times, especially like the old thinking Black culture always tries to force other Black people to conform to certain standards that are often not beneficial to Black people, for anybody, but that's another story. It's another topic for another day. So in conclusion, cancel culture is important to me because, especially as a seeker of truth, I like to know what's behind the curtain. I like to not be manipulated constantly. You know, when you get to a certain age, a certain level of manipulation, and you just get tired of being bombarded with propaganda and lies and unsavory characters and being negatively influenced by them, whether you follow them or not, because they just pop up everywhere, you know, if you try to use social media or watch TV or anything like that. So to me, the culture of calling people out who should not be, are not good representatives of humanity or a certain community is necessary. It's a self-regulating thing. We have to stop depending on corporations and people trying to make money off of you to do the right thing. Okay? Like, we have to set boundaries, or else we'll just continue going into this like disaster, chaotic world of no boundaries and no morality, and I don't think that's okay, personally. Like I said, call me a little conservative, but I feel like there should be some order and there should be some standards in behavior in order to not continue lowering the bar until we're all just in a really low frequency, low state of mind, very animalistic, negative, you know, ways. And I feel like when we don't check these people, we're going to keep getting exposed to lower and lower standards, you know, worse and worse behavior, and start to normalize those types of things. So that's pretty much why I think it's necessary, important. It does have its faults, like I mentioned when I gave those examples. You know, it needs to be cleaned up. But like I said, most of the time the faults are coming from either trolls, people who are just following trends. Whoever, you know, is popular by the day, they support. Whoever's not, they go, you know, right off of things, comment and stuff like that. And, you know, the industry clapping back and trying to like act like it's something it's not. You know, like, y'all are just mad because they're rich, or y'all are just mad because, you know, those types of excuses are just really silly. I think I'm done here. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. See you next time. Love you.